Good morning. I needed a second and I couldn't find out where the button was. The mute button is not in the same place on this computer. Morning. Suppose I don't need this anymore because I printed a photo. What are we doing today? We're gonna do watercolor because I feel like it. And I got a package in the mail and I'm gonna open it. So we're gonna do that. And I have this not well stretched piece of watercolor paper. Yeah, an unboxing. And my hair clip is falling out. I gotta do this different. Let's see. Can I make it sit better? That's better. I already cut it open because I bought something at a store and I put that in there, so I'll talk about that too. But I didn't open everything entirely yet. So I'm gonna paint this watercolor photo I took of one of my orchids for fun today. And we're gonna use probably the old watercolors that I have. Simplicity's having a 75% off sale. When I do so, I tend to use a pattern. But that hasn't happened in a while. So I have essentially a dirty chai latte, but it's not an espresso shot and it's not a latte. It's a coffee I made and put chai tea in. Fun watercolor stream. And Yamadorgon said, as a local watercolorist, I'm excited. I'm glad. You can see how not great I am at watercolor. I have some concepts of it. Like, I took a short professional development class as a teacher, put on by another teacher who is a phenomenal watercolorist when I was teaching. And I kind of know a little bit. It's a completely different mindset than acrylic and oil. And gouache, I think. Gouache is like kind of in between and weird. So we'll do this for fun. We have a 6-month resub from Belladonna Prince, 21 months from Ryan B06, 15 months from Eliason89, 22 from Dark Overlord, a subscription from Crimson Altair, welcome in. 22 months from the Wild LP, 8 months from Humbology, 22 from Dragon Girl, Fossix gifted a sub to Fixed, 21 months from Brina BX, and 8 months from Private Butter for Christ. Thank you all for the resubs this morning. I know what I needed from upstairs. That's fine, we'll use this. Summer North says, do your best, it's just supposed to be fun here. That's what I thought. I was like, this is just gonna be a vibe stream. So I didn't stretch any of this. I only stretched that and didn't do great. But that's part of the stuff that's in this box. What do I want? I don't want water. I do want water to go over here though. My thought was, it'd be nice if I had the other piece of watercolor paper upstairs, but I don't. That's fine, I will just use this. Okay. I was gonna start by showing you like the little watercolor exercises we teach elementary school kids. And then I was going to draw that and paint that. And then after I do a few layers on that, we'll go through the box stuff. So this is a tiny little watercolor kit that I got. It's Raphael, and my cooperating teacher when I student taught gave this to me because it was given to her and she's like, I don't need this and I'm never gonna use it with the students because there's only one. She's like, so you can have it. Oh wait, I can do this, can't I? Yeah, that's the way I want to do that. And we're gonna put this over here. I love that mug. Where can I get such a cool thing? Well, Radio Dread, as a mod, you can probably do whatever the command is to bring that up. Renee has it. Okay, so when I was student teaching and we did a short watercolor lesson with elementary school kids, we had like these little worksheets, and I'm never gonna remember what they all were offhand because I'm going strictly from memory, but it was like, we do watercolor that's just basically wet on dry, so it's kind of just a base level thing, and then we can do like the same thing but with water, and then that's yellow. Yellow's fine. You're probably not gonna get to see it too much. And then you can kind of go on that and it'll blend out into the water and be softer. I'll do that again with not yellow. We'll do it with the same red. And I had way more pigment on the brush this time. You can also do this like to blend colors. So like those were some of the things we did when I was teaching, like with the students, to like show them different ways to use watercolor. I don't know, there was other stuff and I'm not gonna remember any of them. But you can do fun things like when you do paint with water and you can kind of just tap the color in, it'll follow the line all the way up. Which I was kind of doing. I did like a hook on the end, I don't know if you can see it on camera as well. So yeah, you can do fun little things with watercolor that you can't do with acrylic. Does Raleigh have a paint a pot places when you buy pre-made items and glaze and fire them? Probably. I haven't looked into it. There's a lot of things in town. I just got some sort of ad for making a like Turkish lamp thing that like they give you the whole part of the lamp and you have like the glass and then you can put like clear mosaic tiles on it. It looked neat. There's the hook a little bit better. Kind of moved up. So yeah, but my knowledge of painting watercolor was like, look at these little things you can do with like children, and like that's how you water paint with watercolors. And then I took a class for development and they taught me completely differently. Where's Cat Bag? We have 300 bits from Elvin Scott who says, good morning and good vibes from New York. I was making my coffee. I was wondering what folks' favorite brand of coffee or tea are. I myself like Stash for tea and Cafe Bustelo for coffee. I think I'm drinking Kirkland's. What else do I have in here? Eraser. Not much. Fountain pen. A water brush. And a white Conte crayon. So I was talking to Jeff about drawing pencils, and my favorite pencil is a black one. It's not super great for like shading. This one's not as bad because it's the pearl, so it's softer. But I really like these pencils. All right, we're gonna draw this orchid. One thing I was told about watercolor, and I'm just going on all the knowledge other people have told me, is that you shouldn't erase on the paper as much. Because something about the oils and like your fingers touching it even can like make it so it doesn't adhere well. Lunar says, yeah, it creates a sort of resist. Yeah. And I turned this really crooked, but that's fine. We'll just leave it that way. This pencil is the weird length that I don't like, where it's too long or too short. And because we're playing, I will be erasing. I'm just going to try to not do it as much. I've lightly drawn in all of the petals, so I'm just kind of filling in details at this point. How visible is that? It's not too bad. Yeah, I turned this to draw and now it's really off. That's fine. thought I saw a Kepler. I didn't. Okay, I'm going to turn this and take some artistic liberties. And we're going to put the flower spike this way. And we're going to bring it over here instead of off the lower petal. These binder clips are getting in the way, but when we get to the unboxing part, I'll show you the thing you're supposed to do. They were just a temporary solution for the one thing I had in the house that would work. Okay. I can just clean up a few of these little lines. All right, most of the eraser dust is gone. So now we can put in a few layers. And I was taught to start with yellow, so it's going to be a very visible first layer. I say that very sarcastically. Steven's just warming some butter. Let's see, where do I want to put some yellow? Okay. So yeah, I was taught in the class to start by painting all my yellows. You skip white, obviously, because it's watercolor, you don't get white paint. This is the most intense music for this. Can you even see any yellow on the camera? Barely. Okay, well I will be building it up just a little bit. The most intense yellow is like right here in the center. Hi.
Toast.
Thank you for the toast.
Goodbye.
Goodbye. There's the Kepo. Hi, buddy. You can come say hi too. The toast will have to wait a second until I have this yellow done. Did he microwave the toast? No, that was the butter. Okay, there's yellow. We'll have toast. There is yellow. We have subscription from the Risen One. Welcome in. This is really good bread. Lunar says white watercolor paint creates more of a gray or faded effect due to paint's transparency. Yeah, the thing with this is it's like painting with clear plastic. You lay it down and then you have all these layers. Because like that's why I'm starting with yellow and not mixing like an orange or something. Now Steven is feeding Kepler. Come here. Bunny, look what I have. Keppy. Keppy. Look at this. Come see it. What about this? Come see this. Now we are too invested in the food preparation. All right, so what did I order? I didn't order all of this. 3 things I got yesterday. Yesterday I went with Jeff to Jerry's Artorama store, and I got 3 things there, but I want to talk about them, so we're going to talk about them. That's why I opened the box, I set them in there. So one of the things I did is I was standing there and I'm looking at the varnishes, and an employee comes by, and the employee is like, "Can I help you with anything?" And I'm like, "Do you know anything about varnish?" And he's like, "Actually, I do. What do you want to know?" And I was like, "So I've been using the spray can varnish for like forever." And I was like, "It's fine." I said, "Sometimes I have trouble with it because it like splatters onto the painting, but it's fine." And he's like, "You need to switch." And I'm like, "Okay, why?" And so he's like, "You need to switch to a paint on varnish." And so he recommended, I told him I use Golden for everything, so he's like, "I recommend doing this because they haven't," I was actually looking at their new varnish, they have a new type other than this kind and the spray kind. I think it's a water-based varnish. And I've tried Gamblin's varnish, Gamsol. I've tried that and I don't love that either. So he's like, "So this is what you want." He's like, "You will notice a difference." And I'm like, "Will I?" And he's like, "Yes, you will." He said, "You mix this 2 to 1 with the MSA solvent." So I have both. I had to get both. And I said, "All right." I said, "I use an isolation coat." And he's like, "You know stuff." And I'm like, "A little." And he's like, "Most people don't do an isolation coat." He's like, "But you know stuff." He's like, "This is music to my ears. This is wonderful." He said, "So you do your isolation coat?" I was like, "Yeah, I use a brush." I said, "I can normally," this is a photo. Sorry, Midnight Lunacy. This isn't the painting. This is the painting. And I was like, anyway, so I have an isolation coat brush, and I said I can normally get a year out of it before it's just too gunked up with isolation coat and I have to throw it away. And I said, but I know with varnish, I said, that doesn't really work. You kind of like, you have to kind of use like a disposable brush. I said, but like everything super cheap, like sheds, bristles, and you don't want that in your varnish. And he said, we sell a varnish brush that's meant to be thrown away. I said, kind sir, could you take me to where those are in the store? So he did. So now I have varnish brushes also. Yeah, so that's going to be exciting to try out. I don't know when I'll get to try this. I was like, what do you mix this in? Does it have to be glass or can it be plastic? I said, because I do have 2 containers, but my glass containers are a little small to fit these brushes. And he said, you can put it in plastic, that's fine. He walked me over to where all their containers were and he's like, this is what I use. And I'm like, I actually have an empty one of these right now. So I'm going to be trying out this type of varnish, a mineral spirit varnish at some point. I will report back on how I feel about it. But I bought small containers because I have 1 more can of spray varnish, which I'll probably use still because I'm used to it and I know I won't mess up a painting. And then I'll mix up a little bit of this and maybe do something on a different thing. So that was the store stuff I bought. And then I was looking for a nicer watercolor set just because it's been fun. This isn't the first watercolor I've done lately. It's been fun to just kind of like play with stuff and have fun. And they didn't have the paint I wanted at that store. So then I decided to order stuff. Ember Ellie, I would love to talk about bikes. I'll get there, remind me. So this is craft tape that you use, you get wet with water, and then you're supposed to use this to stretch watercolor paper before you paint on it. So this was pretty cheap, and I got a whole roll of it. It works better than the binder clips I was using. Is Bike Talk the male version of Camera Talk? It sure is. See, this is a true unboxing. There's still packing materials in this box. Ooh, this is a Kepler toy. Okay, so I got a little watercolor palette. Since Bike Talk 0. So this way, if I feel like going somewhere and doing like a drawing and want to do a little bit of watercolor, acrylic paints don't really do in plein air very well. How does this open? This way. So it has like this little thumb hole. So you can hold it and work. But it's travel. Great, so this I bought. And then I bought a large one to have like here. I didn't know this had a lid. I don't think it had a lid in the photo. That's fine, that's preferable. And then I have a board. So the thing I know that watercolor people use is Gator board. I didn't buy that. The other thing that was the option was this hardboard panel, which I'm sure I could go to like Home Depot and just like have cut. But I bought this. Oh my God. This is 11/14. Did I misread? Wait a second. I bought this specifically to be slightly bigger than this paper. And it's not. Oh, I know what I did. Okay. I have another pack of watercolor paper that's smaller than this, and that's the one I looked at. Okay. That's fine. This one will fit the smaller paper. That's what I did, because I got a spiral bound one. And then the last thing I got was different paint. This is what I wanted to get at the store, but they didn't have it. So this is Golden's paint, this their watercolor. And I went with them because I like Golden. I don't know if it's good or what was a good brand, but I went with it. So So I just got a little pack of 12. I need a sharp tool. Sharp tool. Golden sponsor when I wish. Renee says, you go with what you know. That's true. That tool's not sharpened. I don't want to break a nail. The other day, I had my nail polish on my index finger pop off, like as a peely. Why try something new if familiar stuff works? That's true, but Golden is known for their acrylic. They're not known for their watercolor. This is relatively new. There we go. So you can kind of use this as a palette because there's little wells in it. But look how cute these are. I mean, that's how watercolor paints come. They're tiny tubes, but they're so cute. I'm used to like 2-ounce tubes instead of these tiny little, what are these, 1/2 ounce? Excuse me, 5 milliliters. They're so cute. So yeah, that was my little purchase. And it came with 12 colors. What does this have to say? Oh, it's all their colors. They have different sets. This was just this is the 12 introductory color set. But they had like a high saturation set. They had like a nature set. They had some other sets, but I went with the 12 introductory colors because I thought it was a bit more well-rounded. So yeah, that was my little thing that I got. And I'm not using these today because I'm going to keep using these Raphael set, because I already started that. So with these, you put them in those palettes, like the little palette I showed you, this guy, and you can use them wet. You don't paint with them like acrylic. You have to kind of still water them down. But you can let them dry out in that palette and then kind of treat them like this, which is what you're supposed to do. So they are fun. So those were the fun things I bought. Varnish and watercolors. Back to this orchid. Oh, I also got brushes. Those are upstairs. I got those at the store. So I did all of the yellow, and I might end up doing more yellow, but I'm trying to decide if I want to go into greens or pink next. I have to think about what color is brighter, because that's how you work in the watercolor. Probably pink. So that's what I'm gonna do. And that's the part I'm getting nervous on because that's the majority of this piece is this pink color. So I'm going to lay water down a little bit from the edge of all these petals. Wait, that's not where that goes. You're brighter towards the outside, not the inside. I love the clicking for atmosphere. Just a little bit. So I don't know how well you can see it on camera, but some of this pink here is laying on top of the yellow, and it's making a lovely little like orangey pink color. Somewhere in this house I have the little watercolor I did from that teacher workday thing. Somewhere. And it was a still life. At the very least, I have a photo of it somewhere. That was a lot of paint on the brush. That's okay. This one is darker. So my goal is just to keep building this, and like this, parts of this will be super dark at some point. Just spread this out a little bit more. Or bump it up to the edge so it's a little bit more of a gradient. I think I'm gonna work here so I'm not getting my hand in this mess. Summer Nora says, or she's always said, can't stop watching you paint this. And Summer Nora said, same. And then it's a Friday after a holiday. They can't expect much of me. It really just should be another holiday. My coffee is cold. I'm sad. I'm doing my best. Listen. That's enough. Okay. There's so much pink. Because now I have to do the center of this flower. And I probably honestly shouldn't, because it's so close to what I just did. There's a cat here. Or the brush is shedding, one or the other. It's hard to say. Okay. That's fine, that'll work. We are gonna skip this petal for now, and we'll move on to this petal. So when people do watercolor, one of the things you can do is you can mask out areas you want to stay white. But that is latex, and I can't do that. Slick Duke gifted a sub to We Win. Thank you. Thank you for the gift sub this morning. She's always says, for whenever I inevitably start buying stuff for this as someone who is also allergic to latex. Yeah, masking fluid? No. It's the same thing like with the stuff they use for nail stamping, where you put it around your finger, stamp, and then peel it off. Also latex. There are some that aren't. I just figure I should just be careful with my lines and deal with it and just not use it. Kind of more of a like get good mentality. Okay, I want to do this petal, but we're not. We're gonna do these. We win gifted a sub to Gaming Fan. Thank you. Okay, now I think I can do that petal. Shizuo says, is there even a black? There is in my set. It's right here. This one. Well, that's a good first layer. I need to do some green. And I think I want to do a little bit of a background. And I think that will be my goal for today, is to do the background and a little bit of green. I should do the green first. We'll start over here with that. So you'll notice like none of these colors are quite true yet. Like the pink is close, I was just kind of lucky there. But I'm getting water on this, that's fine. It's just my reference image. Like the green of the flower spike here is quite dark, but that will happen in time. That will be layers upon layers of this painting. So that's how you do the shadows? Yeah, we're just gonna keep building up things. And like the actual flower stem spike is brown. But we're gonna start with green because it's slightly green-brown. It's kind of like doing a primer coat, essentially. The hint of the first color, working in a specific order. And like I had put this yellow here so that when I did the green on it, it would turn a little bit more yellow here. And like the red of these soon-to-be flowers, these buds, have turned the green slightly browner. So it started to give that illusion here. So it's like these, like, if you have a bunch of colors of glass that are super transparent and they're all like super colorful and you start to build those up, the way they overlap each other and the color theory behind how color and light works is how you make your colors. It's very different than acrylic, where if I want a color, I have to mix it in acrylic. This is all about like optical, so it's a lot more of a different thought process. We wouldn't gifted a sub to Chap, thank you. Good morning. I got the stuff I ordered that I didn't get at the store yesterday. Yeah, so we did that. I laid all the green out. Now I want to lay a background. And I'm sure there's a rule, and Yamadorgon probably knows. Like, do you do the background first in acrylic? I mean, watercolor, or do you like save it for last? I want to lay it down so I can see the edge of the white of the flower. That's why I want to do it. But watch me mess everything up by doing it. That's fine, we're just having ourselves a good time. Chap says, are these the new paints or still the old set? This is the old set, this here. The new set is this. And they come in these cute little tubes. I'm showing them off again because they're so cute. Look at them. They're just super tiny. These are tube watercolors, and you put them in a palette like this. And then you use them like you use the tray ones, where you still water them down and paint that way. And then you can let them dry out and you can get them wet again and you can keep working with them. Unlike acrylic where they dry out and they're gone forever. Yamadorgon says like, the rule is to start with lightest colors, so to go to darker ones you have to layer. Yeah, that's the rule. It's all about optical illusion here. So we started with our yellows, and then we moved into pink, and then we moved into green, and like these flower buds have all three of those in it. It has like yellow here, and then there's like green and pink, which have made them brown, but like that's kind of how they are. We're not to the right color yet, but they are quite brown. They're a very, very warm brown. So this is all about layering. It is a slow process. We win gifted a sub to Chaz, thank you. All right, we're gonna do a background. I'm gonna switch brushes. I've been using this tiny brush that came with this set. It just stays right there for storage, it's nice. But we're gonna switch to this acrylic brush because it's larger. And this is where I'm inevitably gonna mess something up. I think I'm going to lay down kind of this ochre color as the background color. And we're gonna start away from the stuff I just did. Oh, that is warm. Ooh, that's not what I wanted at all. Okay, well, we're gonna lay it down and then we can always do another layer later. Or maybe we'll love it and we'll leave it. I did use way too much paint and make it very pigmented. It just sets it off from the paper a little bit, which is kind of what I wanted, but it's not quite the right yellow. That's okay. Like I said, it's layering, so I can always go over it with something cooler that'll tone it down. The yellow looks good against it though. It does. just move it way over here. And I did way too much color, so now I have to blend it back in. Chap says, I love how delicate and ethereal this is. That's why I like watercolor. It's just so different than I'm used to working, so it's not anything I've sat down to really develop. I know the concepts. The lady who taught me watercolor was amazing. I'm gonna have to go look at her work again. It's been a while since I've looked at it. This is the worst brush for this spot. It's way too big. And like I said, I really hate these binder clips, but that was all I had when I stretched this paper 3 days ago. Now I have to live with that decision. We have a tier 2 resub from Sage of Stars at 20 months. Thank you. Is it seriously 20? I don't know. I feel like I've seen some 20s lately from resubs, but that one just hit me and I'm like, oh my god, it's really been 20 months. Chat is unrelated. I should have gotten clean stumps yesterday. Yeah. You can sharpen the ones I gave you. If you have like an X-Acto knife or really any sharp blade. And pull a lot of that blue chalk pastel off. Oh yeah, sanding it down. That'll help. That's too much paint. Let's spread that out. It's a little darker on this side than on that side, and that's okay. March should be the first 24s. Thank you, Becca. I had no idea offhand when that was. There's a weird line that dried in here. I think part of that is why I wanted to get nicer watercolors, because I've noticed this kind of sometimes gets these weird like waterline marks. And that could also be a skill issue. I don't know. It could also be a paper issue. This is not the best watercolor paper. It's just what I have. But I thought I'd use it up first before I buy something nicer. Remember, Ellie says, have you done much with watercolors in the past? Sorry, if you already said, I missed it because work. I haven't. I took a professional development class with another teacher. Well, I mean, she was the one presenting. And that's when I learned anything I know about watercolor, and it's not a whole lot of knowledge. Okay, there's my background. Can we shade it a little bit so you can see? There we go. So there's just a little like yellow cast behind it right now. Shizue says, what's wrong with the paper? It's cheap. It's a very delicate gradient, like Sapphire Rebecca said. It's going to be layers. Like this is only like layer 1 for everything. It's gonna be at least 3, probably more. But like the thing you want to do is you want this to dry and it'll get slightly more permanent than it is right now. And then you can keep building things up. So if we compare it with the photo, this is Penelope, by the way. This is Orchid Penelope. It's like super dark in here. So it's going to be multiple layers of that pink getting built up. And the second I feel like it's not the right pink, like I think it's warmer in the photo, it's more red than this pink, which is a cooler pink, then I'll probably start to add a little bit of this red in instead of this one that I had been using. So I'll do like a little bit of a layer of this just to kind of push it in that direction around my color wheel. And the same goes if I feel like this was too red, like if I wanted it to be more violet, then I might do like a slight layer of blue. And I don't have a purple watercolor in this set, which is where this comes in, so I can start to mix a color if I want. Which is why there's kind of like a teal in the center, because I had used a teal for the last watercolor I did. So you can do a little mixing, not a ton, but you really want to try and stick with your pure colors layering. At least that's what I was taught by the lady I took a class from. And like these will get built up and get darker too. And the flower spike is brown, but right now it's green. In order to make something green brown, you have to add the complement, which is red. So you kind of keep layering that way. So that's watercolor fun. Let's set this aside for a second. And we'll go to this random page I was working on. I don't know why I closed this. So I had done some red here. Ooh. So you can start to build things up with it and make it darker by just layering. You can add more paint so you have more pigment. Like this is one layer and then this is 2 layers. And then you can let it dry and do more. Maybe this blue, this isn't the best example because I didn't do a whole lot in this when I was doing a little testing. Let's get a bigger brush. Okay, we'll just go back over this. So this was pink, or red, and maybe I want to shift it towards a violet. So I'm going to pick up some of this blue here. And we can do a layer of that on top. And if I paint outside of it where you can see the blue also, try not to touch the part I did because it'll just, which it did. Knew that was gonna happen. So we kind of get here where it's overlapped to be violet and then here to be blue. And this part, this was more of a turquoise blue. And I can paint that same blue over it and it'll push it different. And if I paint it into this green, it'll make that green also different. So we can just keep layering on things. And this orange line I did, I could put blue on that and make it brown, but I can also, you can go a little bit of red on that and warm that up a little bit. So you have to know color theory when you're doing the layers like this, because you have to know which way it's going to shift something. Yeah. And you have to know color theory to mix your colors if you're going to be doing any mixing, but then like visually mixing, it's a totally different way of thinking than acrylic. And I like it, I just have to switch my brain. So we will have many more layers on top of Orchid. And I'm not sure I'll stream it, but I also don't have plans to work on this outside of a stream, so for now I may just set it aside and do it another time. Shizu says, this will be difficult since I don't know color theory, but I will try. I have a whole acrylic video series on color theory, and a lot of it will translate to watercolor. What time is it? It's 12:20. We can do a little bit. I do wish I had watercolor for this. Just for fun. Just for fun, we'll do a little. Okay, so our basic color wheel is RGB. Sorry, Roy G. Biv, that's what I meant it to say. And we have our primary colors, which are going to be red, I should have done yellow first, because it's going to get muddied. Yellow. Which is the primary blue? We're gonna go with this one. It's kind of more in between, but this will be our primary blue. Okay, so those are our primary colors, right? So with acrylic, if, let's say I don't have any other colors but these three in acrylic, I would mix these two to make their secondary color, and I'd mix these two to make their secondary color, and these two to make their secondary color. But I have all of those except violet. But for fun, we can layer them. Put a little more yellow there. So if I'm mixing, I'm going to visually mix these because it's watercolor. And the ideal thing to do right this second would be to let these dry completely so I could truly visually mix these and let it sit on top of it. But I don't got time for that. We're just going to do it on top. So I have yellow, and I'm mixing yellow and red together by putting it on top. Where did I touch blue? Okay, pretend that didn't happen. Somewhere I got some blue on my brush, because blue and yellow make green. Let's try that again. There we go, that's more of an orange. So now we have an orange. Blue got into your red drip? It did. It got somewhere in here. So now we have orange because those two make orange. Let's try that again. But with blue this time. So blue and yellow make green. So if I put this same blue over this same yellow, we get a green. And then if I put blue over that red, we'll get a violet. Try not to contaminate my colors here. So we have a very rudimentary color wheel here, if I hadn't gotten blue on my brush. Fountain pen. So we have our primaries, and then we have our secondaries. So when we mix our primaries, we get secondaries, and you can mix a primary and a secondary to make a tertiary color. So we have yellow and green, we would get yellow-green. So that's kind of the rudimentary part of it, like the basic color wheel, color theory stuff. If you want to make something darker, you add the complement. So if we have red, like so, and we want to make it darker, I mean, we can keep layering pigment, right? But that is just going to saturate it and make it redder and redder and redder, which may be what we want. We can just keep layering red on red on red on red and make it super bright. But if we want to darken it and make it like a shadow, then you add the complement, and complements are straight across. So we will add green to it. And so that's how we're going to get our browns. And that didn't get very dark. A little bit more. So there's our complement, and it made brown. And you can use that, actually keep some of this on my brush, to start to add like shading to your colors and put it in shadow. And with watercolor, you're not mixing these colors and then putting the pure color down. I mean, sometimes you are, but you're also just layering because you see through it. It's a transparent. Like you can see so much of the paper through this violet right here. So you have to keep layering things to darken it and change the colors. So that's how you do this. That's kind of like a base level color theory bit. I'm trying to think if there's anything else I can add to this. And the second you introduce black, that's a lot of water, let's make it darker. The second you introduce black in watercolor, it starts to get complicated. I would suggest avoiding that. Because you can add black into your colors and that'll work, but it starts to look weird. I would avoid it for most things. I probably will not use any of it in this orchid picture. It should be very sparingly used with watercolor, in my opinion. Unless you're doing something more like graphical, illustrative, in my opinion. Yabadorgon says, my personal advice is also never use black. I'm kind of sad that this set came with a black, because it's like mostly in color rainbow order, except the brown, which is weirdly between green and blue, but then the black is where the violet should be. Yeah, the blue shade looks cool, but if I was truly going to do a dark blue, here's that same blue. Opposite of blue is orange. I would do that. And that orange I think is a tiny bit yellow, which is why this turned a little green. It just has a more natural look to it, especially when you're doing something like flowers or a landscape. But like I was saying, there is no white in watercolor. You can sometimes pick up an acrylic white and put it on top of the painting, or I think gouache is opaque enough to stand in. I did gouache for like color theory in Art 101 in college. But the way with watercolor is you use a liquid masking latex, paint that down, let it dry, do all your painting, and then peel it up to show like pure paper. Or you just have to be really careful and avoid it, like the edges of these flowers are white. So there's like a weird like white outline that I've left along each petal because that's how it is in the photo. Kita says gouache will work. Okay, maybe I'll pick up a little bit, but I can also just try and be careful. Colors are fun. There's a lot you can just like play around and start to figure out. Okay. We have a 4-month resub from Cosplay Theory, 10 months from Soph G, 20 months from K Cranion, and 19 months from Facebook. We like color theory. Yeah. I mean, it would be fun to do like just an ink wash, like a pure ink wash painting with like the black watercolor. That would be fun. Did I even look what colors were in the set? What did it come with? Colors are fun. Splatoon music. All right, Nickel Azo, Hansa Yellow, Benzimidazolone Orange, Quinacridone Magenta, Permanent Alizarin Crimson, Pyrrole Red, Yellow Ochre, What Are You? Payne's Gray, Burnt Sienna, Phthalo Green Blue Shade, Ultramarine Blue, and Phthalo Blue Green Shade. Phthalo Green Blue Shade and Phthalo Blue Green Shade. Green, blue shade, blue, green shade. That's it. That's a good nice set to start with. Maybe if I do more of this orchid painting, I will bring these out and just test them. Swatch them for fun. What about gray and watercolor? I would mix probably pure complements and water it down. Like if you're truly painting something truly gray, like a silver, that's what you would probably do. It sounded like you said gray. It's Payne's Gray, P-A-Y-N-E'(S), this color, which is a very blue color, honestly. At least it is in acrylic. I assume it is in watercolor, because it's a pigment. It's a mix of pigments, it's a historical color. In college, we were not allowed to have black acrylic paint when I took painting. We had to buy 7 tubes of paint. 2 reds, 2 blues, 2 yellows, and a white when I took painting and did acrylic. And then he made us make our own black paints, and that was like a project test thing he made us all do. And the way he had us do it was make a very particular purple and then add a little bit of yellow. And then you test how neutral gray it is by adding white to it. That's what I had to do in college. It was like a thing that he made us do as a whole class. But that's acrylic. But I would probably, because that's my background is acrylic, is I would probably try and do the same with watercolor. Okay, we will work on this again, probably at some point. Like I said, I have no plans to work on this outside of this. I have other things I can paint and work on. So this will probably just get put aside for now. Keeper. That is my plan. Sounds like a potions class. That's the professor that liked to read poetry to us while we painted. Phenomenal artist. His work, I absolutely adore. And every so often I email him and give him a life update. But he would just be like, today I'm going to be reading Robert Frost. And he would read. But he also taught the psychology and philosophy of art class, the aesthetics class, why art is art, which was all about discussing what made something art and why, and talking about beauty, which was a fascinating class. It was very weird to take at the same time I took like the art business class, because that was all about the consumerism of art and marketing yourself and being an artist from a business standpoint. So I took both of those classes the same semester. So it was like a weird back and forth of like, oh, consumerism, commercialism, and why make art? Well, because it's beautiful. Why is it beautiful? What does that mean? So it was a very weird thing. And my painting professor taught the philosophy part, and my senior advisor for my art show taught the business part. So it was really weird. But it was fun. That was my last semester before I did student teaching. Two sides, quite the contrast, exactly. All right, could someone do the roll for me? That sounds contradicting. It was a bit. Thank you, Renee. If you're interested in supporting me on Patreon, you can check the links. And one of them is joining our Discord server, and Renee has those links for you, and so does Fossix. And things that are coming up. There will be a stream on Steven's channel tonight. It may be a little late. I don't exactly know when. I'm not actually sure if it's going to be just him or me as well tonight. There's something going on. A fun thing I'm excited about. We'll see. But otherwise, I will see you Monday night for Okage. Where are we? We are going to, let's see, we were introduced to Big Bull, who challenged us and was like, I'm gonna go be in Big Tree Hole, come get me. So that's like the next thing we have to do in Okage, is another dungeon. Not as bad of a dungeon as Endless Abyss, Escapeless Abyss, but another dungeon. So that will be Monday night. And is there a vlog or anything? Piglet's Big Game Extra Life VOD is out. And yesterday's vlog is us setting up Kepler's sink fountain. So if you haven't seen that, it's cute. He drinks from the sink and is cute with his little tongue trying to lap up the water. Suppose I could have switched back to this. All right, so yeah, go check those things out and tune into Steven's channel tonight, but do know it may not be right on time. It will be happening. I just don't know when. All right, I hope everyone has a good Friday, and I'll see you definitely Monday. Bye.